Hello, lovely witches. This is Dawn from Aurora Dawn. It is July 14th, and I am going to talk about seeking a teacher. Now, I did this video. I actually recorded this video about 2-3 weeks ago, and I got it all finished, all edited, and I was previewing it, and there was a glitch, a blip, and what I had cut out on the second half of the video, what I had cut out was now in, and what I wanted to keep in the video was now cut out. So I had spent 2 hours editing it, and I decided, okay, I'm done. We're gonna put this aside. And actually at the end of it, I decided I didn't really care for it, so I wanted to redo it. So this is what I'm doing now, is redoing that video. Of course, Mercury was in retrograde. I think it's direct now. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But I have been struggling with that, not being able to focus. So these videos are behind. I'm going to try and catch up and give you 2 this week. But it's interesting when Mercury goes in retrograde. Sometimes those projects I'm working on, I just have to set them aside and just focus on what I need to take care of and do the best I can. I was trying to focus on topics and create notes so I can do these videos, more of them. And my mind was all over the place, so I had a hard time focusing. That's why I got behind on the videos, but I'm trying to catch up. Anyway, so I want to talk about seeking a teacher because there are some things you need to watch out for, especially in witchcraft, because a lot of witches like to become coven leaders, and they want to put together a group, and at the beginning a lot of times their intentions are good, but then stuff happens. I know there's a lot of power that comes from working with a group of people, but the person, sometimes the leader, or maybe there's somebody who joins who wants to usurp the coven and the group and become the leader of the group, and there's a lot of ego and power struggles. If you see that, just leave. You don't have to be there. You don't need to be there. They don't need you to be there. Honestly, if it's gone awry, you're gonna go down with it, most likely. I'm not going to say, I hate generalizations. No matter what, you're going to go down with the ship. No, but it can be dangerous depending on how unstable the leader is. But so do be careful with covens and groups of people. I like to maybe check out a group and do some stuff with them, but I'm more comfortable working with my own spirit guides and my own local deities. So there are spirits who belong to this land that I live on. The trees, the animals, those spirits are guardians who watch over this land, and I really like working with them. It's hard to find people that I feel comfortable working rituals and magic with. It's just, I guess it's a personal thing. So anyway, I've got my notes here. Let's get into this and discuss what you need to know about working with teachers. Okay, so basically, you want to avoid con artists. So take a look at their reputations. What are they saying? If they are basically worshiping that person, you don't need to go there. And especially when it's involved, when there's initiation involved, where you become part of the family. When it gets that deep, you have to really, really be careful with who you're getting involved with. For instance, what's the name of that group? Scientology? Yes, Scientology. When L. Ron Hubbard first put together and organized Scientology, it worked. It was healthy. It was something that people could really overcome their self-limiting beliefs. But something happened along the way, a lot of ego, a lot of stuff happened, and new mindset, new thinking came in and took over, and it became more of a cult where somebody is controlling the people and controlling what they think and how they behave, and sucking a lot of money out of them. So that's something you definitely want to avoid. So covens can be healthy, can be a way for you to get support and guidance and help along the way, which can be very good. But if you don't feel good, you can try and work it out with the leadership. But if you don't feel good, you don't need a coven. You can find people who will support you and guide you and teach you what you need to know without becoming all wrapped up in the whole group kind of dynamics. If that's more comfortable for you, it is for me, definitely is for me. There is a thing that I've experienced with my students, It is when I was teaching classes in Cedar Rapids, I was doing face-to-face classes. Now I'm doing more online type of classes. So when I was working with people face-to-face in classes, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, maybe about 3 times, 3 different people came up to me and asked me if I had an apprenticeship where they could work with me one-on-one. And that kind of took me off guard. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, what that would entail. So I had to think about it. And immediately I had to say no, because I didn't have anything set up for that. So but I was thinking about it. I said, well, you know, in a lot of different, like martial arts and stuff like that, they'll take somebody in one-on-one and they'd be an apprentice to the master. And I don't know if I have the energy and the time to really spend guiding somebody on that level. That would take a lot of my time and energy. Now, I'm a spiritual life coach, so I do work with people one-on-one. But to me, an apprentice is somebody you spend a lot of time with, nurturing and working with and supporting and guiding. And so that's my interpretation. Of course, my interpretation of coven is a tight-knit family of people who trust each other immensely. And I have a feeling that a majority, probably 99% of the covens, at least in this country, are not the way I picture them. They're more of a study group where you get together and you do stuff together, discuss things. So it's more of a study group, more of a craft group, maybe. You know, let's make wands this weekend. Okay. And you call that a coven. Well, you know, that's fine. It's up to interpretation. But to me, a coven is more of a tight-knit group of people who rely on each other and uphold each other and are ready to step in and defend that person and support them financially. If they are destitute, you take them in. If they need a job, you help them find a job. It's that tight-knit. I don't really see that here. I've never come across a coven, and I haven't come across a lot, really. But I have not come across any or heard of any that were that tight-knit. I feel like some of my students along the ways when I was teaching face-to-face with people, every once in a while somebody came across as needing me. That's what it felt like. They needed me to answer questions for them, make decisions for them. That's more like it. So, you know, should I get this new job? I don't know. What does your gut say? What do your spirit guides say? Well, they haven't developed that relationship with their gut or their intuition or with their spirit guides. And so they're looking to me to make that decision for them. I am not in a place where I can do that. Now, in India, in India, you are initiated to your guru, your master. So in India, you seek out your master, your guru. This is the person who is going to guide you and tell you what is best for you. And that individual really does know what is best for you. And you spend years in servitude to this master. Can you imagine Americans embracing that kind of relationship with a teacher? So we don't really, here in America, we don't have masters per se, but there are people who come along who would make themselves out to be a master, and sometimes people follow along because they want what that master is portraying. So that master is portraying a feeling of or emotion of I'm established. I have what you need or what you want. And so people are seeking something to better themselves, and they fall for that kind of person because they want somebody to tell them or help them or show them and do something for them. A lot of people live in quiet desperation. They mutter along because they don't have any other solution. They don't have a solution for their problems. So they live in quiet desperation, seeking, always keeping their eyes open, always keeping their ears open of something. And because they're desperate, they are open to con artists, or people who would set themselves up as a cult leader. And they like that attention. They want people to worship them. I have a student who wants me to answer their questions. I realize that student needs to be taught how to look at their own intuition, needs to be taught how to communicate with and listen to their spirit guides. That is my response to those people, because I am not in a place where I can be responsible for another human being like that, on that level. Now, a yoga master, like the one I was initiated to, he was, but he spent 30 plus years training in an ashram as a servant to his master. He was trained how to meditate and get control of his ego. That's what he did for 30 something years. And then once he reached a certain level, he started developing his psychic abilities and controlling his psychic abilities so he can tap into the spirit world and lead his disciples. So he could do what his guru did for him, he can do for his own disciples. That was his training, but it was like 30 something years that these people train in an ashram. And all they do all day is, they work within the ashram, cleaning and vacuuming and making dinner and stuff like that, but they spend hours in meditation, learning how to control their ego, learning how to develop their abilities after they've learned to control their ego. So by the time they get to a level where they become a master, a guru master kind of person, they can really do it. They're on the level of an ascended master. So they really do know what is best for you and how to guide you, your specific situation. Now, being a life coach, I dive into a person's background, their history, what their toxic beliefs are. I start to pull that out of them, and as we go along, teach them how to protect themselves from outside world, how to protect themselves from their own toxic beliefs, how to process their emotions so they're not stuck in their emotions, how to nurture their own emotional needs so they don't need anybody to make them happy. They make themselves happy. They love and nurture themselves. And that's where I want my students to get to. When they're at that level, then they don't need me. And that's what I want. That's my goal. So if you come along and you find a teacher who dangling the carrot out in front of you but never lets you get the carrot. I have a friend who was training in Reiki, and I haven't asked him, but I don't know if he ever got the third level. But his teachers got him to the second level and made him study, made him practice. Years later, still dangling that carrot out in front of him. Nope, not yet. You're not ready for level 3. Okay. So there's that, I'm a pompous ass and I know better than you, so I'm going to dangle this out in front of you and never really give it to you because I want you to depend on me. I want you to follow me. I want you to even worship me. Do you have a picture of me on your altar yet? Come on. What are you waiting for? I need you to worship me. Now in India, the Hindu yoga master gurus, that's a whole different ball game. And I was initiated to a master when I was 8 years old. And yes, I had spent a year learning from him, his teachings, and from other masters, and practicing yoga and meditation. So by the time I got to the point where I was going to be initiated to him, I knew what was going on. I really did. Even though I was 8 years old, I seemed to have a grasp on it. I understood it. I understood what it meant to be a vegetarian and to meditate and to practice yoga, and what the purpose of it all was. It's not just to, get flexible. Yoga is way beyond just flexibility. There's a lot of strength building. There's a lot of mental yoga exercises. There's a lot of control, and it's just so much more than just bending the body. Okay, but here now in my life, I seek out teachers because I want to learn more, and I know I don't know everything. Believe it or not, I don't know everything. So I seek out other teachers. And what I look for are people who are honest and they're the real deal, and they're going to give me the information that I'm looking for. They're not going to dangle the carrot forever. They're going to give me the complete package, the whole package. Something that I've just want to talk about is competition. As a teacher, it is so easy to slip into, well, I don't want to mention so-and-so over there because I don't want my students going over to them. I worked at a yoga studio. I worked for a yoga teacher, and she owned the studio. And she's with Tri Yoga, Tri Yoga. It's relatively new, but here in Cedar Rapids in Iowa, they have a studio. There's a person who has a studio, and this lady was also initiated as part of this into this group, and initiated to the guru, the master, who had developed, and that's what they do. They become a master and they develop their own technique in yoga, and they like to bring it here to the United States. So that's what happened with this one woman, and she developed this business for training teachers. There's a studio in Cedar Rapids, and she also lived in Cedar Rapids and had a studio in her basement, but she also had a studio in Iowa City. And what had happened was that the studio in Cedar Rapids, not hers, had a workshop with their guru. She was coming into town and was going to do this all-day workshop. I think it was like 8 hours. And so the person I worked for told her students, hey, this workshop's going on. You should go check it out. Get in there, because this the guru, the master is coming, and she's going to teach us. So you should go. She encouraged them to go. So many of them went, and a couple of them saw the schedule for the studio there in Cedar Rapids and said, hey, this works out way better for my own schedule, my job, my personal schedule. So I'm going to start coming to this studio instead of to Kathleen's studio. She lost her effing mind. She went on and on, walking through the studios. I'm never going to tell my students anything about any workshops anywhere. And went on and on. She was so angry that she lost 2 students to a studio that catered better to their needs. So I saw that and went, wow, wow, lady, get a grip. There's no competition. Only if it's, you think there is, then you're creating a problem that there really is no problem. And let me tell you how I feel. How I see this is that, okay, I'm out there. I teach classes. I'm a spiritual life coach. So are a bunch of others. I'm a witch, and there are not as many witches that are life coaches. So I'm a little unique, but there are others, and I'm more than happy to tell you about them because I want you to explore other witches and other life coaches and find the one that works for you. And that's what it's all about. The people that are attracted to me, I'm supposed to teach them. If you're not attracted to me, don't worry about it. You're not going to hurt my feelings by going to Joanna DeVoe or Molly Robertson or to some of these others that can support you and help you just as well. If you don't feel comfortable with me, I don't want you to try to force it. And I don't want you to feel uncomfortable thinking that you're hurting my feelings by going to see somebody else. That's just not going to happen with me. I understand that, and I want the best for my students. I want the best for people. And if I'm not the teacher, then I want you to go to see somebody else, somebody who can help you. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. Competition among spiritual teachers is a load of, BS. Trying to keep it clean here, people. So something else I want to talk about, which is very important, is that a teacher is a channel. So what I mean by that is that there are spirit guides. You have spirit guides. I have spirit guides. We all have spirit guides. And when a teacher comes along and starts teaching, if they open themselves up and be receptive, they can hear messages from other people's spirit guides that they want to get through to your student. So it's a very important. I'm not sure what am I channeling? Who am I channeling? What I'm trying to say is that a teacher needs to be open to sharing messages that may not pertain to what maybe they're in their own personal life. I try not to stay on subjects that are only for me, but subjects that can touch various different people. And even if I don't have any experience in that area, I want to mention it just so to pique your interest, maybe to go research it for yourself. And there are times when I want to share something that I'm learning myself and to pique interest. And that's what I try to stimulate my students to look into new things, maybe things that they've never thought about or heard of before. So teachers have to really be cognizant of messages that are coming through and be willing to switch gears, because for a teacher, the student is the most important. I'm not here to boost myself up or to find followers to make my ego be satisfied or make my ego feel good. That's not what we're here for. There are times when you are involved with a teacher and you might fall in love with the teacher. Now, there are different ways of explaining falling in love. Okay, now, when I first listened to Esther Hicks, she's a law of attraction. She channels a collective consciousness called Abraham. And when I listened to her, I was like mesmerized. I was in love with her. Not sexually, not romantically. I was like, I couldn't get enough of hearing her voice. I don't know what it was. It was very unusual, and that doesn't normally happen to me. But I was really listening, trying to get the message. Why am I so drawn to her? Why am I so attracted to her voice? There's something about her voice. So I, dove into it a little bit more, listened to her a little bit more, and gleaned a lot of lessons from her that she channeled through her from Abraham. And I don't know, I think it's more the spirit of the whole thing, the whole experience. There's a very attractive spirit energy about it. It's very important, though, that if you feel yourself falling in love with your teacher, to recognize that very well, most likely, you are involved in projectional transference. My life coach teacher taught me that projectional transference is when you project onto somebody else and transfer your feelings about that person onto the other person. So the teacher becomes mom and dad. So the teacher could be mom, teacher could be dad, teacher could be both. And you're transferring your emotional need to be nurtured by your parents onto the teacher. And so now subconsciously, you see that teacher as the person who is to like nurture you and emotionally support you. And so what ends up happening is you're giving your teacher way too much power and energy to an openness to connect with you. And you think you want that, but you don't really. What you want to do is heal your relationship with your parents. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to develop a relationship with the teacher that you wanted to have with your parents when you were a baby. Hope that makes sense. It's weird. Humans are weird. We're just weird. Okay? We do very dysfunctional things. So sometimes you can fall in love with your teacher, and it's not a sexual romantic thing. It's more of a need to be nurtured, and you see that teacher as being capable of nurturing you, and so you run the risk of giving them way too much control over you, influence over you, and then when they let you down, then you can get, a lot of times what will happen is a student who's been let down by their teacher, meaning they find their teacher is not fulfilling their emotional needs, because nobody can fulfill your emotional needs but you. You're the only one. So when you do this transferring and projecting onto other people and assigning them the place of nurturing your emotional needs, they are going to fall short. Then you'll feel abandoned, you'll feel betrayed, and then you become angry at that person for whatever reason. You'll come up with a reason, and the real reason behind it, because it's your ego is always changing the truth about what is really happening. And so you think it's because they didn't get the lesson out on time. Oh, now I'm going to be angry. You let me down. You betrayed me. You abandoned me. And really, it's because they're not nurturing you the way you want to be nurtured. Okay? So the best thing to do is to recognize that, okay, if I'm in that situation, I'm in my ego. I need to stop that. I need to get back into spirit. So I need to process my emotions. What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling hurt, feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated, and the whatever else, and then do my breathing, do meditating, do physical exercise, and then get back to it again. Okay, am I still feeling angry, hurt, and frustrated? How intense are they? Do some more breathing, do some more yoga or exercise, go take a walk, and then come back to it again. Is it still intense? And once you've gotten down to about a 1 or a 2 intensity for those emotions, you're good. You've processed them. You've got them out of the way. So then you can see clearly, without the ego, what is really happening. And then I can go, oh yeah, I'm looking at that person to nurture me. And I don't need to be doing that. I need to nurture myself. So then I can go into nurturing my own emotional needs and get what I need from myself. Perfect. Okay, let's move on because I'm running out of time. So something else I want to talk about is teachers are not perfect. They don't have it all together. I don't have it. I don't have it all. I'm still struggling. I'm still trying to get through this. I'm still trying to become the master of my own life, right? That's what we want, right? I want to get in control of this so I don't feel like I'm being thrown around by the world. Okay, so I looked at healers and, you know, they're sick, they're broke, they're overweight. And I'm thinking, are you really, truly a healer? I mean, look at your life. You don't have it together. A healer would have it together, right? If you knew how to heal other people, wouldn't you know how to heal yourself? No. I can tell you right now, no. A healer knows how to, a good healer has been trained and knows how to give healing to other people. But a lot of us, we have this problem with giving to ourselves. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. Yada, yada. You know what I mean? So when it comes to healing themselves, they have difficulties. They have trouble because they're still working on their shadow stuff. And so when I see a healer that is talented, but they're, you know, overweight, they're sick, they're got bills and issues with money, I'm not going to criticize them anymore. I don't want to do that. But a lot of times, what is it? Okay, there's this doctor, and he promotes these supplements that are supposed to reverse aging and give you energy and help you lose weight, and you've heard all the spiel, right? He's big. He's overweight, and you know, and older looking. And so, are those supplements not working? So, I mean, do you take those supplements? Are you promoting something you're not even taking yourself because you're overweight, you look old, and I'm not sure if I can trust you? That I can understand. When a healer, who is a spiritual healer, is you know, not in a very good state, I know they're struggling with their shadow stuff, but they could still be talented in healing other people. So I'm not going to criticize them. Just not going to do that anymore. And I know for myself, I mean, I know how to coach somebody, and I've gone a long ways for myself. I've totally transformed my life. Absolutely amazing. But I still see stuff that I'm struggling with. I haven't gotten, you know, past it. So I understand people are still on their path. They're, you know, just because they're a healer doesn't mean they've made it. They're not an ascended master. They're still struggling with stuff too. So I have a lot of compassion for people in that kind of place. Okay. A good teacher is going to reflect your shadow back onto you. Oh boy. That's fun, right? So if you've run into a teacher and you're evaluating the teacher and they're going on, and I know there's somebody on YouTube like this, and I find it very difficult, but I still listen to her because she has incredible things to say, so I can learn a lot from her. So I don't. Okay, what'd you say? All right, I'm making fun of her. But she talks about she's an alien from another planet. She's just incarnated. She's super enlightened. She's here to show us the way. And okay, whatever. Okay, but you look at her life and you go, I don't think so. If a teacher is allowing their students to go around saying how enlightened this individual is, and they walk on water, and they're a master or a god, you know, wow. Teachers should not allow their students to misrepresent them that way, because if anybody does that about me, I'm going to contact them and say, look, I'm not a god. I can't walk on water. I'm not an ascended master. I'm not that evolved. I know a lot. I've done a lot. I've experienced a lot. I've experimented with a lot. And I can teach other people but I'm not there yet. I'm not ascended to any level than, you know, a little bit better than when I first got here. So I feel like I still have a long way to go. Okay, so never shows their faults. This is very, very important. So a teacher who never shows their faults, never admits that they fall down too, that they mess up, then you just be careful with those, because they're coming across as perfect, and they're too inside their ego, and they could I don't know, if they're too controlled by their ego, it's a little bit disturbing, because I don't know if what they're telling me is to puff up their ego or if it's the truth. That's where you have to really examine everything that a teacher says. Do I agree with this? Does this feel right for me? Also, just because a teacher says this is the way it is doesn't mean that's the way it is. It may be the way it is for them. There's a medium, I won't say her name. She's wonderful, extremely talented, extremely talented. She gets details, names and dates and stuff about the person who's deceased in your house. Very, very talented. But she says she only sees those who have not crossed over, and that it's impossible for anybody to see those who have crossed over and those who have not crossed over, which I know personally because of a medium that I know is extremely talented as well. She sees both. So I know it's possible to see both, whether they've crossed over or not. She sees them both, okay? So I'm not going to say this woman is lying, but it's through her perspective. She can only see those who have not crossed over. And she believes that because somebody she's associated with who can see those who have crossed over but can't see those who have not crossed over yet, she believes that it's impossible to see both at the same time. You either are one or the medium for one or the other. And I know for sure that's not true. Okay, so just recognize that teachers are teaching through their perspective, and through their perspective they see it this way. And I try really hard to not make absolutes or generalization. Everything's this way, everything's that way. Through my perspective, this is the way I see it. And if I know of other perspectives that are different, I will share that. So I think it's this way because that's my experience. But this teacher over here says it's this way. And maybe that's true for their culture, for their path that they're on. That's their experience. Okay, so that's okay. We're all different. And I try not to make absolutes, though. Statements that are absolute. Okay. Something else to be very, very careful with teachers is don't get romantically involved with them, if at all possible. And if there is a teacher who is giving all the, say it's the male teacher, and giving the women googly eyes and flirting with all the women, just be really, really careful with that, because he's playing on people's emotions. He knows how to control people and get people attached to him by stroking those romantic feelings. And it can go the other way. Women are very good at that too. So, okay, so there's a teacher on YouTube that I follow. He's another one. Get to the meat. I want to hear what you're saying, please. I want to get to the root of it, the good stuff. But he talks about, he does these live streams, and they're question and answers. So he's inviting people to ask him questions, right? He's a teacher. He wants to get the word out about his teachings, his courses, and his books and stuff, right? Somebody asks him a question, so that he doesn't know because he hasn't studied it. So it's outside of his realm of expertise or study. and he will tell that person, you need to read all of my books, you need to watch all of my videos so you can ask smart questions. Okay. You're a teacher. You need to be open to questions no matter how dumb you think they are. For me, I feel it's very, very important. In fact, I find it an honor when somebody asks me a question. I don't care if I've told them 3 times in 3 different ways. If they're asking me, they're needing to know the answer. They're not getting it. So I need to explain it again. And I'm okay with that. I am so okay with that. I'm not going to tell you go watch all of my videos, read all my books, and take my courses before you can ask a question. That's dumb. You're a teacher. You need to be open to questions. So I want to put that out there. If you're looking at a teacher who's not open to questions, then, that maybe makes you look bad or feel bad before trying to ask a question that the teacher thinks is dumb. It's not good. So I still listen to his videos. YouTube has this thing, you press the L button on your keyboard and it advances 10 seconds. So I just keep hitting L until he gets back to the message. Get through all that. Read all my books and watch all my videos so you can ask a smart question. Whatever. I came across this teacher's oath, and I thought this was very, very interesting for teachers to really think about their position, where they fit into a person, their student's life. Teacher's Oath by Yogi Bhajan. And I'll put a link to this oath up on, just look below, and I'll have the link to it. It's a very long link. But anyway, Teacher's Oath by Bhajan. Teacher's Oath, I said that already. I'm not a woman. I'm not a man. I'm not a person. I'm not myself. I am a teacher. And really what that means to me is that when I'm in the position of teaching another person, it's a great honor to do so. And I recognize that the student very easily could be giving me too much power to influence them. And so I'm very, very cognizant of that and very careful with that. I want to inspire and I want to influence, but I do not want to control the student. I want to inspire the student to look into, feel it out, research it on their own, experiment, and figure it out for themselves. Is this right for me? The Buddha, the first Buddha, Gautama Siddhartha, he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have this memorized, but he said that do not believe anything you hear from anywhere, including from me, meaning from the Buddha, until you put it through your own intuitive system, and if you agree with it, then okay. But even the Buddha said, even if it came from him, don't just accept it. Put it through your intuitive system and see if it works for you, and if you agree with it. Be careful with teachers. Don't give them too much power. Don't worship them, especially here in the West. We're still struggling. We're on our path. We haven't spent 30 years or so in an ashram learning how to control our ego. So we are full of ego, and we are doing our best. So be careful. You, the student, have to be careful with teachers, because if you give them too much control, they can manipulate you, and some will. Me, it freaks the crap out of me when somebody does that, when they give me so much power to influence them and to manipulate them, and I'm like, oh, wow, it's not where I'm coming from. I don't want that. I want to inspire you. I want you to be influenced to go figure it out for yourself. I will guide you. I will give you support. I will give you clues. I will question you so that you can Figure it out, what works for you, okay? And I think I'm done. I think that's it. So I hope you got a lot out of this. I want to encourage you to seek out teachers because we all have different lessons and experiences that we can share. And you can learn a lot. Even if you are a teacher, continue to seek out other teachers to keep balance and to be open to new experiences and new experiments. I love experiments. Just keep going. Okay, so I'm done for now, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and get out there and research stuff and listen to teachers on YouTube and really just jazz up your life. All right, love you, and I will see you next time. All right, blessed be.